This is the Be Your Own Bank Power Pack Tuesday. True Tools, Training, followed by a talk with the finance doctor. This call is designed to empower, educate, and enrich you in your journey to success and financial freedom. Please state your name and what city you're calling from.
My name is Kelvin Pittman. I'm calling from Jacksonville, Florida.
Welcome to the call, Kelvin Pittman. This is our study hall call. We encourage the power of the unmuted mic. This call is designed to empower, enrich, and educate you in your journey to success and financial freedom. This is the Be Your Own Bank Movement Power Pack Tools, Training, followed by a talk with the finance doctor. Please state your name and what city you're calling from. You've dialed into the Be Your Own Bank Movement Power Pack Tuesday, Tools, Training, followed by a talk with the finance doctor, your RX for Forex. Please be prepared to take notes, to be interactive, to unmute your mic, to ask questions, to be enriched, empowered, and educated on how you can excel in your journey to success and financial freedom.
The world, New Jersey.
This is the Be Your Own Bank BYOB Movement Power Pack Tools, Training, followed by a talk with the finance doctor. This call is designed to empower you, to enrich you, to educate you in your journey to success and financial freedom. This is the Be Your Own Bank Movement Power Pack Tuesday. Tools, Training, followed by a talk with the finance doctor. You're just joining the call. To Be Your Own Bank Movement, Tools, Training. Please state your name and what city you're calling from.
Sharon Edgecombe, Kissimmee, Florida.
Welcome to the call, Ms. Sharon.
Alfred Buckley, Maryland, DC, Virginia.
Welcome to the call, Mr. Alfred. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it is now my distinct privilege to introduce someone who has 100% of the information. She is a U.S. Army Major, retired, a Master of Finance, and a financial advisor. The brains behind the Women Teach Forex movement, a coach and mentor of the Be Your Own Bank movement. We call her the Trade Whisperer. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Tasha M. Dyer. Ms. Dyer, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. And let me first thank you so very much for what you do day in, day off, day in, day out, what you are doing, because I'm excited. I'm excited for what this movement is doing, how it's impacting, changing lives. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have not had the opportunity to be in the presence of Mr. Phillips, to hear his training at the expo, this is definitely someone you definitely want to make sure that you put yourself in his presence. Make sure that you are available to hear from him. He is definitely impacting this movement. And that is exactly what this is. This is a movement. Be Your Own Bank. where you learn how to think like a bank, act like a bank, and become your own bank. And that's what we're doing tonight. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're showing you how to do. That is exactly why you are here. And I'm excited. I'm excited because of where we're going. I'm excited. And tonight is about training. Tonight is a Power Pack Tuesday. It's about showing you. It's about training. And that's what this is about. And you heard that, Cha-ching. So yes, even though tonight is training, if there is an opportunity to take a potential trade, if we can catch some pips, we are definitely going to do that as well. So yes, I have everything up that I need to make sure that you are successful. But what I want to talk about tonight and where I definitely want to get started is where we left off on Thursday. We did some live trading last week. And not Thursday. See, I keep wanting to trade on the holidays. I don't like these days off. You know, it's all about catching pips, right? So it's kind of has me, because it was a holiday. So the last time that we actually talked, the last time that we were actually on this call is when it was last Tuesday. And last Tuesday, while we were training, there was an opportunity to take a trade. And so what I want to talk to you tonight is about your entry point, your execution, because your trigger, your reaction to when you see the trade, your reaction to when you can actually take the trade determines your success as well. So yes, BYOB cash out. It has an accuracy of 92% and above. Most of the 8% is human error. And we're going to talk about part of that tonight because we want to eliminate that human error. We want to make sure we give you what that is. So I'm showing you a screenshot right now of the BYOB, of the screen that I want you. So if you want to pull it up, I don't know if you have it, but that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But before we get started in that, before I take you there, I want to familiarize you with the rules, with the BYOB cash out, and exactly what that is. So for ladies and gentlemen that have been trading for a while, ladies and gentlemen that are a guest, I want to welcome you this evening, and I want you to understand exactly what the web analyzer is, how this tool is effective, and what the BYOB cash out strategy is. And what do we mean when we say 92% accuracy and above? And how simple is this tool to use? How simple is this strategy? So this is the web analyzer. What you're looking at is the web analyzer. So the rules. Well, first and foremost, the web analyzer. So what the web analyzer does, when you enroll, the goal is that you enroll, you learn the tools, the tools that are going to put you in profit, and it is you want to be in profit, and that's the goal. That's your commitment to yourself. That is the commitment. That is what you're here for. So what happens is this strategy collapses those time frames, because while you're going through the academy, one of the things that you will hear is them say that you want to pick a currency pair or two, stick to that currency pair, and you want to learn that currency pair. You want to analyze that currency pair. You want to be able to learn that currency pair. Well, what you begin to learn and what you begin to understand is that with those currency pairs is that you actually learn the uptrend, the trend is your friend, uptrend, downtrend. You learn range, you learn how to draw trend lines, you learn how to navigate through that currency pair. And that's how you begin to learn to trade. Now, when you do that, you're looking for something called an entry trigger. And an entry trigger is that entry point, because you'll hear us say continuously, in the market, you make money when the market goes up, you make money when the market goes down, and you make money when the market goes sideways. However, you have to know when to enter and when to exit. And that is key for your success. When do I enter and when do I exit? So that is what we're looking for, those entry triggers, so we can enter successfully. So what the web analyzer does is it scans the market. It scans the market and it gives you those entry triggers. It tells you, so when you see called at potential sale, so along the left hand of your screen, you'll see potential sell, potential buy. You see the currency pair. And yes, I only have the 15-minute time frame selected because on the 15-minute time frame, we can do 10 pips and cash out. The goal is to cash out. So that's what we're looking for. Now, the call price is that entry trigger, which is along the right side. This is that call price, but it is also my pip. It's my pip count. So when I'm counting my pips, that is what this is. So now this is the information. I want to make sure I'm on the right strategy, BYOB cash out. I have my UTC time, my local time, and the time from when this trade was actually called. So what am I looking for? What am I looking for to actually take a trade? So I'm gonna flip through a few of these so I can give you a really good example of what you're actually looking for to actually take a trade. So the first thing that I want to look at, the first thing is the stochastic. So there are 3 rules with this strategy. And the first thing that I'm looking for is the stochastic, which is along the bottom of the screen. That's what's along the bottom. So with the stochastic, I'm looking for the momentum. It measures momentum. And the momentum is going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go up. So just like I'm in a roller coaster, it has to go up, it has to go down, it has to go up, it has to go down. This is what I'm looking for. So my first glance, when I see a trade that is called, regardless of what it's calling for, a potential buy or sell, what I'm doing to validate the type of trade that I am looking to take is I'm looking at the stochastic. Is my stochastic around this 80 mark? Is it at the top? Or is it at the bottom around the 20 mark? That's what I'm looking for. So if it is around the 80, then I'm looking for the blue line to cross over the red, or if it's around the 20, I'm looking for the blue line to cross up and over the red. So basically what I just said is if it's around the 80, that determines, if it's at the top, that determines that I am taking a sell. If it's at the bottom, it determines if I'm taking a buy. And I want it, the shaded area is where I don't want it, but I want it around the 80 and around the 20. So this is a perfect example. So you're not guaranteed to be 100% outside of this area, but the more outside of this area you are, like these two are perfect examples. The more outside of that area that I am, the better the trade, okay? So here we are. I'm gonna use this as an example. So this was called, and when this trade was called earlier, now it's calling for a sell because I'm looking at my stochastic. So even regardless, it could have been called for a buy. I'm looking at my stochastic. My stochastic says it's at the top. It's around the 80 or above. Therefore, I'm looking for a sell, period. That means that all my analyzation, everything that I'm doing needs to look for and line up for a sell. I do not take a buy from right here, regardless of what my candles, my PSAR, or anything else is doing. If my stochastic is around the 80, I'm going for a sell. If my stochastic is around the 20, needs to go up, I'm going for a buy, period. That's it. So my stochastic is around the 80 and above. Now, what I'm looking for is that blue line to cross over the red, which you see that is what it's doing. The blue line crossed over the red and it's pointed in a downward position. It's not going sideways because yes, it can go sideways. You notice the stochastic can do many things, but it's going down. That tells me that I have a strong downtrend. The momentum is strong down. So I want good solid momentum. That gives me a stronger indication of a trade. Now, my Hikanashi candles, understand, you analyze on the web analyzer, not on my MetaTrader 4, because my MetaTrader 4 is only where I place my trade. These are Hikanashi candles are an indicator. So they are an indicator. So that's very important to understand. So these are different than the Japanese candles. What Hikanashi candles do is they focus on the trend. They only focus on the trend. So that's why they look like this. You remove that clutter, that back and noise move. So look at the difference. This is a difference in the candles. So remember, we're focused on what the actual trend, the overall trend is doing. So there is a difference in how these candles look. There is a difference. Now, I'm focused. So I want my for a sale, because that's what we're looking at. This lined up for a sale. And now I just have to wait for everything else to line up. So I have a flat red candle. So imagine you taking your hands and you just pushing down on it. If I can push down on it, then guess what? Then that means I have a strong downtrend. Now, right here, I have a wick. So had that been my first candle, if I'd have pushed my hands on it, I'd have got poked. So you wouldn't push as hard. So that means that your trend is weaker. So what we're looking for is that flat red candle that's going to give me a good solid trend, a good solid downtrend. Now, I can't trade yet. I don't have my PSAR. That's rule number 3. My PSAR is my parabolic stop and reverse. That's a reversal. So what you notice is I had 1 check, I have 2 check, but I had to wait on the PSAR. When the PSAR flips, now I have a solid trade. I can get my 10 pips. Now, what you see here is a pullback. That's a correction in the market, but I can get my solid 10 pips. Now, this trade actually, it went for more than 10 pips. You see it's highlighted. Depending on where you got in, that range covers at least 21 pips. So if I put it dead on, I'm gonna put it spot on the top of that candle. So I'm at least 22 pips, that range. So and that's what tonight's training is all about, to help you understand the significance of that range and your reaction, your entry, and why that is so important. Now, so that's 10 pips that you could have gotten. Now, but you saw that actually covered a total of 23 pips. So, but then I turn around and I can ride this up as well, because for the same thing for a buy, my stochastic is around the 20. The momentum shifted. So now I know I'm going in an uptrend. The blue line crossed over the red. Now, this first candle has a wick at the bottom. See, I'm going for a buy. So that means my green candles have a flat bottom. So I'm going for a buy, but guess what? This has a wick. This means it's not ready. That means the trend is not very strong. My second candle has a flat bottom. I get in as soon as I get into the trade, as soon as everything lines up. I don't have to be 2 or 3 candles in. This just happened to be my first green candle and it had a wick on it. My second green candle happens to be flat across the bottom and my PSAR flipped at the same time. So I actually have all 3 rules lined up and I can actually enter that trade. I can go for that trade. So now I see I'm on my MacBook looking at the same currency pair. My stochastic is different. Okay, I need you to check your settings. These are default in here. So, and I'm on a Mac right now as well. So to make sure your settings are correct. The settings are 14, 3, and 3. You want to make sure you check your settings and refresh. And I'm also over some. I'm not at the end. So I pushed it over to show you a trend. So you want to check that as well. Now from here, that was actually 10 pips on the dot. Now I'm gonna show you, this is a perfect example of what we're gonna be talking about tonight, because this was only 10 pips. And this has everything to do with your entry trigger, with your market execution. It has everything to do with your reaction time. Now, based on your reaction time, this one actually, because this one actually would have, if depending on where you would have got in, if you would have missed the 10 right here, it did not hit my stop loss, but it actually came up. So you still had an opportunity to be in profit. But you see, it's still, you still had an opportunity to be in profit where it went up to about 15 pips. So that's still very close based on your reaction time to entering a trade. So do I have any questions or any comments before we go any further? Because that is the BYOB cash out strategy. 3 simple rules. Step 1, stochastic. I'm looking at the stochastic. Step 2, I'm looking at the Hikinashi candles. And then step 3, did my PSAR flip. So 3 simple rules to put you in success. Do we have any questions on the actual strategy itself? No questions on the actual strategy. Awesome. So this is what I want to show you. So last Tuesday, I was excited. We took a trade, and we were doing training, and we all should have been in profit. And everybody should have been in profit on this trade. And I want to show you exactly how that works and why you should have been. And if you were not in profit, I want to show you why. So what you see in it, oops, wrong way. Hold on. And this is very important because you have to have a reaction time. Everybody's reaction time is different. So what I showed you on what we just showed you on the actual cash out, that covered a range of 20 or 30 pips. Now look at this currency pair. Look at this. This is from last week. This is actually a very strong downtrend. So even in the midst of us, when we train and I talk to you and I tell you, you do not know where you are in a trend. That's why just following the rule of the stochastic is so important, and we don't take the stochastic in the middle. Following the rules as far as knowing that I can get my 10 pips, it's over a 90%, it's 92. Actually, I believe it's higher than that, to be honest with you. But when you look at this, and you see, but I can look at this, even though I don't know what I'm in, what I do know is that this is a very strong downtrend. And so anytime when I can look at, this is where the human analysis, that human element comes into play. You've got to be able to look at this. And when you see this, you make the decision. Do I take this trade? Yes, you can take the trade. But second, when I take it, because it's a correction, you have to understand your reaction time, your trigger, because everybody's reaction from when you see something to pulling a trigger, we all have a different reaction time. So what happened is this was a 19 pip range. So you should have easily got 10 pips with this. However, what I did is I measured it from the bottom of the first candle up to the wick of the highest point that it reached. That was 19 pips. But I'm going to show you. Now, your stop loss is very important. Let me highlight that. The stop loss is always below or above the PSAR, depending on the direction you're going. So we were going for a buy. So this stop loss was below the PSAR. That's where the stop loss was. So what you see is this, it peaked in its correction because we're in a downtrend. It had a small correction here. The market kept going. It corrected itself. The market kept going. It went to consolidation and the market kept going down. It corrected itself, kept going down, corrected itself, kept going down. This did not ever turn around. So you never want to chance it and feel like, okay, this trade will just turn around, or okay, I'll just wait on it to flip around, because what you are not in the business of making any contributions. The market is not a charitable organization. We are not donating anything to the market. That's not what we're doing. We are trading responsibly. And when you trade responsibly, then you actually come out on top. You come out and you increase that 92%. And that's what we are. We're increasing that 92%. So, and that's what I want you all to be able to do, is to increase that 92%. So this is that same area right here from last week. And if you notice, when it came down, it came all the way down. And for some of you all, when you hear people say, oh, someone such blew their account or they lost. No, we don't have to do that. A matter of fact, we're not doing that, because we're going to trade responsibly. And if you notice, I drew the yellow line as to where this peaked, this horizontal line. It did not come back around until July the 5th. So it took many days before this actually came back around and peaked at that area again. So I want you to understand that. But this is what I know. And speaking with individuals and looking at how we trade and what I know, and I want to highlight and make this big, is I want to talk about your entry trigger, your entry point. Because right here, I'm going to draw this line. That yellow line is the candle's entry point. So, but what happens is, when you see this and you see it line up, you grab your phone, you open MetaTrader 4, even if you're sitting there waiting on this currency pair, because you saw this candle, you saw this candle. And we know that this means that it's a turn is about to happen. You know that means a change is about to happen in the market. You know that. And then we saw this. So even if you're on the ready, even if you're ready to hit market execution, you still have a delay, a lag. And my lag is different than your lag. Somebody else's lag is different than someone else's lag. So you want to take that into consideration. You always want to take that into consideration. So when I look at this, at first glance, I know for a fact I'm in a strong downtrend. It looks nothing like what we were just discussing. First glance, looking at this, I know that this is not a correction. I mean, you can look at it and say, okay, it's down, but it's been consolidation, down, up. I don't see strong downtrend. You just see a range. You can see that with your naked eye. You can look at this currency pair and you can see the back and forth, the back and forth. But when you look at this one, what we saw was a strong downtrend. So this is where the entry trigger comes in. When you hit market execution, let me change the color on these other ones. Actually, I'm gonna change the color on this one. You hit market execution, yours might be right here. Is that a good color? Can you see that clearly? Anybody? Unmute your mic.
Can you change it to a different color?
Thank you. That's what I needed to know. How about that one?
That's better.
Okay. So this might be your entry trigger. This might be where you actually enter the market. This might be where you actually enter the market. So now we got two different places that someone enters the market. So if I'm going for 10 pips, right? And if you use your MetaTrader 4 from where you entered the market, your 10 pips. So this person actually still They got their 10 pips because it's somewhere in here. So they made it. But if you start here and you count 10 pips, you didn't make it. And that's because of the lag of your entry trigger. That's because of the lag of you entering the market. So to increase your accuracy, to increase that, what you can do is when you enter that market execution, when you hit market execution, come back to this candle. Think about when we first began doing the BYOB cash out and we were looking, and so look at this line. You see this lines up with a call price. It lines up with the number on the side. It lines up. Use that as for your 10 pips. Use that to count for your take profit. To begin your take profit right there. So that way, I know I'm within my range and I get my 10 pips. Now, you might not get 10 pips on when you take your profit. You might only get 6. You might get 7. You might actually get 4. And that's okay. And I'm telling you that's okay because what you're doing is you're taking profit and not hitting your stop loss. Because if you look at the pip goal chart, if you look at what we're doing, is collectively what you're wanting to do is grow. Our pip goal is based on 20 pips a day, not one trade where I collected 20 pips. So if my goal is 20 pips, I can do 4 trades. I can do 2 trades. I can do a couple trades and only get 3 to 4 pips. The point is did I make my pip goal? Am I gonna make my pip goal? Because if I can do 200 pips a day, then yes, you can do your pip goal. And it does not all have to be in one trade. So I would rather have a successful trade where I actually took profit on 5 pips than trying to force 10 while I work on my entry trigger. Because this is why when we did the analysis, and what just happened? And we just lost it. But that is why, without me having to go pull it back up, that is why we had that's why we had that issue of some people took profit and some people didn't. It was all because of your entry trigger or the lag in your entry. Do I have any questions or comments? I should have some.
Ms. Dyer,
Yes.
this is Kimbrough.
Yes.
So what you're saying is when we set our 10 pips up, what we're going to do is from the entry candle that we start on, we're going to do it from the start of that candle and not from our direct entry point itself.
Correct.
Okay. So when we go into that trade, so as soon as we see it, we go and we hit market execution, whether it's the buy or sell, right? Then we go back, we adjust our trade and start our pips right at the beginning of the candle.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just so anybody just asking, what he just said is how we trade this, so everybody is understanding. How we trade this is market execution. Now, when you do the market execution, then you go back and you modify. You modify with your take profit and your stop loss. Now, the take profit has been off of my market execution. However, based on what we're talking about tonight, that take profit is going to be from, and I lost my lines when it refreshed. Put another one down here. That take profit is going to be based off of this line. Because what you have, especially if you see that this is if you see that this is a downtrend, or it could be an uptrend, but you see you're trading against. So what you're doing is you're trading a correction. So what I'm trying to do is take your 92% and make it 98%. I'm taking your 92% and putting you closer to 100, because we'll have human error, but let's eliminate that. So if I can be successful in my trades and understand, because this is a strong downtrend. So if I got a 20 pip range, then, just like we had, this is an example of another one, but for example, this, I can, looking at where we were, it refreshed everything. Goodness gracious. So when because you don't see all of this when you begin to trade, but we wouldn't have took that one because the stochastic is not right. I had it back. It just refreshed everything. So just give me a minute, because we had the holiday.
Miss Dyer, I have a question. This is Sharon.
Yes.
So if there is an alert given on swipe trades for a sell or a buy, and I pull it up on the web analyzer and it's not meeting the BYOB cash out strategy rules, is there a different time frame that I need to look at in order to see whether or not it's matching up?
Understand that the swipe trade, they will, in their analysis, they will tell you what time frame they're on, how they analyzed it, and they'll give you little insights to what they've done to analyze that. This is a different strategy. So if you want to use a swipe trade, then just like if I select the BYOB cash out, there are other strategies on here that take this same entry trigger and apply it different ways. So like there's a Sharif strategy, there is 4 rules. There are so many different strategies. The swipe trades is just someone else taking something, and that can actually be off of a higher time frame. So it can be a longer trade. This is a scalping strategy. Now we're doing scalping in intraday right now. I haven't gotten to the point where I've shown you all, or I've called a trade to where you can do the longer. I know I can tell you how to do it, but we haven't trained on that as of right now. So if you're looking for something that's going to call like 50 pips or 100 pips, yes, you can use the BYOB cash out on that, but you have to be careful when you're taking a swing trade, which is calling for, like a swipe trade might call for, depending, I mean, some of them call for 50 pips or more than that, just based on who's calling it and what it is. I'm just using 50 as an example because they vary. So if I'm taking a trade that somebody analyzed off of an hour time frame or a 2 hour time, an hour time frame, a 4 hour time frame, then I have to turn around and you cannot apply it to a 15-minute chart. So those are 2 completely different analyses. So because if I take the BYOB cash out and I apply it on the higher time frames, there is the same rules, but you're gonna see something different based on what you're looking for and how I come up with my pip count. So on a 15-minute chart, then I'm doing 10 pips and cash out. So if you're doing a swipe trade, you look at what they did to analyze that trade. Now, if you want to apply, you want to take that currency pair and see if you can, pull 10 pips or do a cash out on it, you can do that. Because even with a swing trade, right, I can take a swing trade. And in the swing trade, I understand that swing trade might be going for, like, let's say a swing trade for a week, right? Or even for an entire day. Just say one day. That swing trade will go up, down.
Let me jump in here real quick, just to bring clarity. So, Ms. Edgecombe, be mindful of this. The purpose of the swipe trade is all the analysis is already done. So all you do is select and enter. You can use an additional strategy to confirm. However, because of the swipe trades, may be using totally different indicators. They may not necessarily match up. So the BYOB cash out strategy is based on the indicators and the strategy. So I would not recommend.
Okay, so I know he's traveling, so he jumps back in. I'm gonna let him finish what he was saying.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yes. So everyone, be mindful. The purpose of the swipe trades is so you don't have to do any analysis. What you're doing is just trusting the analysis of the individual who sent the swipe trade. And because that swipe trade, we do not know which indicators they have used to come up with that analysis, then that's why the results may not necessarily be matching up. However, because of the universal aspect of the cash out strategy, what you can do is look at that same currency pair that's called on the swipe trade and utilize the BYOB cash out strategy for your entry points and your exit points. So if you get a swipe trade and it's a currency pair, then you would just simply apply the BYOB cash out strategy to get the most accurate rate of return so that you can maximize the earning on that particular currency pair. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yes, Mr. Rogers, that makes sense. What I was doing, I would use swipe trades just to give me the currency pair, and then I would put it in and see if it matches the if all of the rules of the BYOB cash out lined up. And I'm finding that it's not lining up, and so I was wondering if there was any other way for me to, make sure that it's good. But I understand what you're saying.
Now, the swipe trades, they do, see, they're different time frames. Think about this, for example. This is a 15-minute chart. In an hour, you have 4 of these candles. So that it's not that it's not lining up. It's the analysis is different. So in order to compare analysis, if they're on a higher time frame, I have to analyze from an hour to an hour. But they're also, just as he was just saying, we don't know what indicators or what they're using to analyze those trades. So, but if you have a currency pair, for example, right, AUD/JPY, let's say they just called that, right? I can literally just type it in as I just did. So, and I can come and I can look to see, was there an analysis or was there a trade that I can take with this strategy? So the market is moving and everybody sees things differently through their personalities and how they analyze it. But this is just a strategy that has a high success rate that people are using. So it's just a strategy. So, like you cannot take the BYOB cash out and validate someone else's strategy. So we can't validate theirs because we don't know what they're using or what they did to actually come up with that, unless they put it in those notes. And
that makes sense. Yes, I understand.
So, any more questions or comments? So in looking at this is another example. It kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. So this is here we go. We have a strong downtrend. And when I have a strong downtrend, let's say this was called for a buy, but now I will tell you that when I'm looking at this, for one, I'm trying to take your accuracy from 92 to higher, right? We're going from 92 to 98. We're increasing our accuracy. So we want to take our human element, our human eye, along with the 3 rules because look how tight this PSAR is to the candles. Look how tight that is. So we know that this is the stronger the trend, the further apart that's gonna be. So there's gonna be a nice gap between the candle and the PSAR when it's a strong trend. So as these PSARs close in on these candles, this is telling me that this is not strong. So this is not something I want to enter or a trade I even want to be bothered with. So yes, as I'm doing my analysis, so I start with my stochastic, and yes, it's nice and well below the 20 and it flips up. Yes, it does. But then I see my nice Hikanashi candle and my PSAR flip. It did all of that. However, look how tight everything is. Look at the trend. Remember, the market talks. It talks to you. Listen to what it's saying. So because I want you to increase your accuracy rate. So you have to hear the market, listen to the market. The market talks to you. So when you see this, everything lines up. But look how tight everything has been. And it being that this is already in a nice, strong downtrend, I know that this is a correction. So if I already just explained to you, your entry trigger is off. See, this corrected for 4 pips. And if my entry trigger is off, from my reaction time, if I got a 4 pip reaction time, I got a 5 or 6 pip reaction time, I missed that trade completely. I missed it completely. And then by the time everything lined up, look how far up this stochastic was. Now, we wanted to start around the 20. Look how nice and deep it was. But even so, which one did I go with? Did I go with this one, or did I, regardless of which one I went with? Because look, that's still, even if they both rolled, that's still just a few pips. It peaked around 5 pips. What is your reaction time? Do you have a 5 or 6 pip reaction time? So that's important to know. So that's when you see it this tight, if I'm going to take your accuracy from 92 to 98, 92 to higher, listen to what the market is telling you. Listen to what the market is telling you. You want to make sure that you get that entry figure, your trigger finger, you want to make sure that you have that and you have that accuracy. So if we go back to where we just were, looking at this one, which will be the same on anyone, I want to start, if you know that you do not have a quick reaction time, if your pip count, you got a 5 to 6 pip count reaction time or higher, you want to use this pink line. And this pink line is from the bottom of the candle where you enter the trade. That is you do your take profit from here. You begin your 10 pips from here. And be okay with taking profit of 5 or 6 pips. Be okay, because you've got to get your reaction time, your pip reaction time, to where you do your market execution. You have to get that up. And it's okay, because it's about successful trades. It's not about a big payday. I think, I know I've heard between Mr. Rogers and Dr. Byfwood always talk about, we're not looking for that one big payday. We're looking for the consistency. We're looking for those consistent trades. We're looking to be a master trader. So that's what we want, to be master traders. We want our trades to end in profit. And that should be your affirmations. Every day when you sit down, you should be telling yourself, I am a master trader. My trades end in profit. And what I'm teaching you tonight is just a trick, a little tool to help put you in that position to increase your accuracy. So use that candle to begin your pip count, especially if you see something like this. If you see, you use your better judgment. Questions, comments? Questions, comments. So here's a nice uptrend. Here's a nice uptrend. So in this nice uptrend, I'm going to use my better judgment. So of course, none of these got called because the PSAR never flipped. But had the PSAR flipped, I'm going to use my better judgment. The PSAR never flipped on this one. And we had wicks when it flipped on this one. So these are two trades right here we wouldn't have took anyway. PSAR never flipped on this one. This one had wicks. We would have never took these trades. But if it would have been there, because that was this is the complete opposite of what we were doing before with the other ones. Questions, comments? I want to make sure that everyone understands that entry point, that entry trigger, and why this is so important. So everybody's ready for Thursday? You ready to go live in the market? We're ready to take trades. You'll be practicing and trading tonight and tomorrow effectively. Can I get an unmuted mic? I see the chat.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Who is that first? Yes. No. Well, we need yes, yes, yes. So 10 pips and cash out. Who's ready to start this challenge again? Because we had some success. We were posting results. So with this new information, with this, who's ready to start the Pip Gold Challenge? We're going to practice this week, and we're going to start it again on Monday. So this is your preseason. This week is going to be your practice. This is going to be your scrimmaging. This is what this is. And we're ready to get in there and begin that Pip Gold Challenge again next week, right? Because we've had some success. We've had some success. But I'm looking for us to take it to the next level. So I got some yes and some readies in the chat. So we've had it. Now, when you see this, right? So you see the market's been doing this. Up, down, up, right? Nice little range. You can see this with your eyesight. So you can use your better judgment. You can use your judgment. But while you're practicing, and when you see those uptrends and those downtrends, I really, really want you using the candles. Because, I mean, you look to the left and you see that it's in a nice range. Okay, that's consolidation. But when you see this, okay, I can do my market execution. So a lot of this you can eyeball, but if you cannot yet, it's okay. Remember, it's like learning how to drive. You had to get comfortable. You had to get ready. You had to practice. So until you get to that point where you can just look at it, you can see it, you know what it's doing, use the candle. And then when you get to that point where you can start seeing this, if you don't know your reaction time, you don't know your pip reaction time, keep using the candle. It's okay. Because I would rather have, once again, those 5 or 6 successful pips than me missing my 10 pips. Because in a 20 pip range, you got to really look at if we got a 20 pip range or less, 10 to 20 pips, you don't want to cut it that tight. You want to make sure you in that trade with success. It's all about perfecting your skill set. It's all about putting yourself in a position to win. It's all about making sure you come out on top. And that's what it's about, the enroll. Learn and put yourself in a position of profit. Understand, pips pay bills. Pips pay bills. Pips put you in a position to where you win, to where you're on top. to where you're in control. You create your value. You determine your wealth. You determine your income, and you can do this. And that is what this call is for. That's why we're here with you this evening. That's why we do. That's why this evening is so power packed. That's what it's here for. It's for you. It's for your success. It is for you to make sure. So ask the questions. We got about 5 minutes left. If you got a question, ask the question.
She's safe now. Unwavering. That thing won't find her. Not for me to kill. Hey.
Someone's unmuted.
Supposed to say, yes, I told you so. I told you needed to go back to the kid.
Okay, so we got about 5 minutes. Does somebody have a trade? Let's see. Do we got a watch list or a trade? We got about 5 minutes left. Okay, we just missed one. Anybody want to analyze? That's been trading with me for a while. Walk me through these steps. One of my traders, walk me through these steps. Talk me through this trade. Why was this a good trade?
You said stochastic was at 80, right in the middle there. It was 80 there, and then it was 80 right there, and then you're watching the trend to see how it's going down. So hopefully it should be going down.
This was a good trade. So we've already missed the opportunity to take this trade, but
Right.
This was a good trade. So you're right. You started with the stochastic. The stochastic is around the 80, correct. The blue line crossed over the red, correct. Now what's next?
Now, what you want? Well, you're looking at your Fibonacci candles to make sure that they are flat at the top and pointing down at the bottom with a candlestick. And so right now you want to get in right there in the middle. You want to get right there. Yeah, you want to get into the trade, and then you're hoping that you're going to be watching the trend and make sure that it's going in the downward direction, and then hopefully.
But we missed one rule. That was two. My stochastic, that's rule number one.
Right.
My Fibonacci candle flat on the top. That's
Your PSAR.
My PSAR flip, that's rule number 3.
Right.
As soon as all 3 of those rules line up, I can immediately take the trade. Immediately take the trade. So this was a good trade. Now, what we were just discussing tonight, so this was an excellent trade. And what we were just discussing tonight, when we look at this was not one of those strong uptrend, downtrend. I got a nice gap between my PSAR and my candle. It's a strong trend, market execution. I'm comfortable taking the trade. I'm comfortable in just market execution, and I'm comfortable doing my 10 pips from there. I'm very comfortable with that. So, if you got a 5 pip reaction time, then you should be comfortable. This is a trade that you would have been comfortable with. But this is one that I say you can eyeball. If you're not there yet, I put the pink line on there because that's the top of that candle. That's the top of that candle, and you want to count from there. But this is one that you can just continue business as normal. But if you have to be able to tell the difference between this and this, where we were at earlier. You've got to be able to tell the difference between these two. You got to be able to look and tell the difference between this and this. And if you cannot tell the difference by looking at it, then use the pink line in the candle while you're still learning. That's the beauty of this strategy, because all I got to do is follow the rules. All I got to do, and if I need to use my entry point from the candle, then I will and put myself in profit. But if you look, this one already peaked at about 7 pips. It's not done. And how do I know it's not done? This tells you when to get in and it tells you when to get out. It's not done. I still have a strong downtrend on my stochastic. It's still a nice strong downtrend. Look at that blue line compared to that red line, and the direction is pointed. My candles, they look like inverted steps. So I'm not looking at the wicks. The only time I'm concerned about a wick is if it's on the top here. So my next candle, the body of the candle protrudes is longer than the first candle. So I know I'm still in a nice downtrend. My PSAR, I got 2 dots, my 2 PSARs, but look at them. They're also going in that downtrend. So I'm still in a good downtrend. I'm still headed in a downtrend. So I know. So this is a business as normal BYOB cash out. But I know that I can stay in this trade right now. I know that this is a good trade. That second candle, that body form the way that it was, but then look at that. And at 3 minutes, when we get the next candle, it should also be, you should get another one that's also on a downtrend, and that one will be longer than the one. Look at how, you see how it's still pushing out? That next candle is going to be longer than this one. That's what's gonna happen. So I can just about guarantee it. This is what I'm talking about when I'm telling you, watch the trade, watch it, understand it, listen to it. It talks to you. Feel it. It's going to tell you how to successfully trade. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it.